done, cause you definitely need some Tic Tacs or something, cause your breath stinks.
Thank you, Eddie Murphy. Tell us what the donkey character adds.
The donkey character, of course, adds comic relief, adds a different comic sensibility to the performance that Mike Myers is given as Shrek. Actually, in this movie, Shrek is kind of the straight man in a lot of these sequences. Donkey is really important for comic relief, and he also lends a real sense of the contemporary to it. I think that's one of the crucial things that Shrek does with the Disney fairy tale world, is it brings it up to date, and it brings in all of these modern rock and pop songs and lots of references to contemporary popular culture, and a lot of that comes through the character of Donkey, who doesn't speak or act like he's in this fairy tale world. He speaks and acts like Eddie Murphy, like a lot of other characters that Eddie Murphy has portrayed.
Much of the cliche busting in Shrek is the tongue-in-cheek cameos, I guess, from traditional fairy tale characters, nursery rhyme characters, Three Little Pigs, Three Blind Mice. Let's play a little audio of the gingerbread man moment. He's under the harsh interrogation lights of the evil Lord Farquaad.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
Yes, I know the Muffin Man. Who lives on Drury Lane?
Well, she's married to the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Okay, so this is a thank you from a parent at the time who had to watch it 100 times. This is so made for the adults, too. What did those moments add to the movie?
Well, like I was saying before, this movie really does feel like a breath of fresh air to parents who have sat with their kids through a decade of Disney films. Every character in this film has an element of kind of sarcasm to them. Every character is making these crude jokes or these like cynical gags, making fun of Disney, but also making fun of all aspects of American culture. And this is, of course, one of the most influential things about Shrek, is that for a long time after Shrek, this is what big blockbuster animated movies are. They're not just fantasy musicals with children as their main target audience. They are for the whole family, including jokes that kids might not get.
You mentioned musical choices. In one moment of, let's call it introspection in the movie, we hear Rufus Wainwright's version of Hallelujah. Let's roll the tape.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah.
Besides, this piece, there is music from Smash Mouth, Joan Jett, Neil Diamond. What did the music choices add here?
The music choices are absolutely crucial to the film's whole texture, I think, and another really influential aspect of what it's doing here, that there weren't a lot of mainstream animated movies that used pre-existent pop songs before. Disney were known for their original Broadway-style musical numbers. Some would argue that that's really important to helping us believe in the animated world, because pop songs might take us out of that space, might remind us that we're watching something that isn't real. But I think actually what the pop songs in this film do is they help the audience relate to the characters by drawing connections between these fantasy creatures, this kind of pseudo-historical time period, and the real world that we live in. So like Shrek isn't just a fairy tale ogre, he's a punk, right? Like he's flinging around nights listening to Joan Jett, Bad Reputation,
Shrek, on rewatch, do you think it still holds the charm?
Yeah, I think kids today, like a lot of the students that I teach, for example, are younger than the movie Shrek, of course. They are seeing Shrek before they've seen any of the Disney movies that it's making fun of in a lot of cases. So I don't think it's ever going to have that impact that it had when it came out in the same way. But it's still, at a very basic level, just a really tight story with really important messages to get across about, ugliness and don't judge a book by its cover, those kinds of messages, which was seen in animated movies and in children's stories for decades. But it is a timeless story. And I think beyond all of the pop songs and the pop culture gags, that story and those characters will persist.
Sam Summers is an animation historian at Middlesex University in England. He also co-hosts the Disneyversity podcast. Sam, so nice to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
People in the back.
This is Here and Now.
Hi, I'm Regina Barber. Think about how many hours you're listening to Morning Edition and All Things Considered or Shortwave in your car while commuting, running errands, or cruising around town. Now, something else to think about? Your vehicle can help bring you the public radio programs you enjoy and depend on. You can make that happen by donating a vehicle you no longer need to this station. Here's how.
Go to radioiq.org and click the support tab and select vehicle donation.
On the next Radio Lab, when we're kids,
every single leaf is like a magical kingdom.
Our brain is open, able to soak up the world,
but it's not very efficient.
Then we grow up and those learning windows close.
Hard close.
But what if there was a way to get in there and reopen them?
People described it was 20 years of therapy in one day.
That's on the next Radio Lab.
Monday evenings at 9 on Radio IQ.
Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creator of MATLAB and Simulink, to design and develop engineered systems, accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com. And the Museum of Science, Boston. With winter in the rear view, the museum's spring exhibits include science in action, interactive engineering experiences, and a robot roundup featuring autonomous machines. Information at mos.org.
It's Here and Now. The U.S. and Israel are preparing to possibly renew the full-scale war with Iran. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump spoke on Sunday and discussed such a possibility. That's according to a person familiar with the matter who is not authorized to discuss that publicly. In a social media post, President Trump said that for Iran, quote, the clock is ticking.
And with the U.S. and Iran deadlocked over ending the conflict, it may sound surprising, but some ordinary Iranians say they would like to see the war resume and the regime ousted despite the considerable risks to their own safety. Duri Buskarian spoke with one of them to understand why.
Amir Reza lights a cigarette before he records a voice message. It's like he's gathering his thoughts.
Salam. Salam.
He's 28 years old, lives in Tehran, works in advertising, although there's not much work to be had these days. He asked NPR not to share his full name because people who speak to foreign media in Iran right now are being imprisoned. In March, as the U.S. and Israel bombed Tehran, Amir Reza and some friends decided to get together. His friend's uncle is a guard at a factory on the edge of town. The compound had a garden and a pool, and it seemed like a chance to let off some steam, get out of the house.
We hadn't seen each other for a long time and had been through a lot recently, so we decided to gather there.
They brought arak, an anise-flavored liquor, chicken for the barbecue, and for a moment, life felt almost normal. Amir Reza says the three of them were in the kitchen when he looked out the window and saw a flash of light.
For less than a second, I saw an orange light and black smoke coming towards us. I realized it was a missile.
He tried to scream. He tried to yell at his friends, warn them to take cover. But it happened too fast.
I could not get the words out. There was a terrifying explosion and the sound of the whole house collapsing.
And then he couldn't hear anything at all. After a few minutes, Amir Reza realized he was underneath the rubble of the kitchen. The weight of the concrete on top of him made it impossible to stand and hard to breathe. His left arm was cut and bleeding from shards of glass. His leg was bent and twisted beneath him. Slowly, he tried to move his fingers. He called out to his friends. One of them was next to him, buried in the rubble up to her waist. He reached out and held her hand.
There was darkness, but my friend's Apple Watch turned on, and we could see each other's face.
Somehow, a filing cabinet had fallen in a way that protected their heads from being crushed.
Everyone was so desperate. They sounded so terrified.
In the distance, Amir Reza could hear missiles hitting other parts of Tehran, the sirens of the fire trucks rushing to other blast sites.
At this point, I kept fainting and coming back. My friends told me later that when they called my name, I'd just make noises or do nothing. My eyesight went blurry.
Eventually, a rescuer named Misam reached them with a claw machine that reminded Amir Reza of Dr. Octopus from the Marvel comics.
That moment when the burden was lifted slightly, very slightly, and oh my God, I could breathe.
Amir Reza felt something soft under his belly, like a pillow. He told me some.
He tapped it and said, "You mean this?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "This is your leg." I had completely forgotten about my leg.
Finally, he was free.
The rescuers said it was a miracle that we were alive.
These days, Amir Reza keeps a low profile. His stitches have healed, but sudden noises, like a car backfiring in the street, scare him.
We all need therapy after this.
Despite this ordeal, Amir Reza says he doesn't want the US and Iran to come to a peace deal. He's so angry at Iran's clerical government that he wants a foreign intervention to continue until it's overthrown.
The Islamic Republic has not compromised even a single step of its ideology for the sake of its people.
The failing economy, the control over personal freedoms. Amir Reza says the pain of being buried in the rubble reminded him of the torture he endured as a student when he was detained for 2 days during protests in 2022.
I remember that pain. I thought of that pain under the rubble, and I thought, I went through that pain because of the Islamic Republic. And now I'm under the rubble again because of the Islamic Republic.
The people of Iran do not want this war, he says. And they don't want this government either.
I don't want a ceasefire without the destruction of the Islamic Republic.
Like many critics of Iran's government, Amir Reza says that a peace deal will give the regime an opening to crack down harder on its internal enemies. Protesters, dissidents, people like him.
Don't do this to the people of Iran. We don't want to get killed in the streets again. We don't want executions. We don't want our youth to get arrested all the time.
But every day, that possibility seems to get closer and closer. For NPR News, I'm Deri Bouskarin in Istanbul.
Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Indira Lakshmanan in Boston.
And I'm Scott Tong in Washington, D.C. You're listening to Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from the listeners of WBUR Boston and from the Midnight Rebellion, Something for Kids. Every episode of this interactive climate podcast ends with a choice. Make a call and see where the story goes. The Midnight Rebellion, wherever you get your podcasts.
It resonates with you. A story on Radio IQ that changed your perspective. A conversation that helped you understand the world better. And yes, the organizations that made it all possible. Corporate support isn't about shouting louder. It's about being present in the moments that matter to you. If your organization wants to make its mark where it counts, email us at corporatasupport@vt.edu.
Support for Radio IQ comes from Ironheart Winery in Allisonia, Virginia, a family farm in the Appalachian Mountains with a history dating back to 1882. Wine, lodging, and spirits available. IronheartWinery.com.
You're listening to Radio IQ on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City, Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISE FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIUR Lexington, WEHC Emory, HD3 of WURV Richmond, and on 92.5 Richmond and 94.9 Fredericksburg. Radio IQ, a listener-supported community service of Virginia Tech, on your smart speaker and online at radioiq.org.
Fresh Air with Terry Gross is underwritten by the Davis H. Elliott Company, providing energy delivery services to utility and government partners since 1946. The Davis H. Elliott Company.
From WHYY in Philadelphia, I'm Terry Gross with Fresh Air. Today, growing up underground and on the run, we talk with Zaid Ayers Dorn. His mother, Bernadine Dorn, was a leader of SDS, the Student Anti-Vietnam War Group. She also led a faction that broke away and formed the Weather Underground, advocating armed resistance. Zaid's father, Bill Ayers, was also active in SDS and the Weather Underground. In a new memoir, Zaid wrestles with questions.
What turns somebody into a revolutionary? How did my mom go from a law student and a civil rights activist to a top 10 most wanted fugitive and a person who advocated bombing government buildings?
Zaid wonders, why did his parents decide to have children while they were still militants, risking imprisonment or death? And what were the consequences for Zaid? First News.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. We've just learned that a California jury has unanimously voted to dismiss all claims in Elon Musk's lawsuit against OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and other OpenAI leaders and funders. Musk alleged Altman and others breached their duty to OpenAI's nonprofit mission and unjustly enriched themselves by building a for-profit company on top of it. The jury found that Musk had not filed his lawsuit within the 3-year statute of limitations for making a claim of breach of charitable trust. This is an advisory jury, meaning their decision is non-binding. The U.S. and Israel may soon decide whether to resume their full-scale war with Iran. NPR's Daniel Estrin has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Look up at the skies in Tel Aviv, and you can see U.S. military cargo planes and aerial refueling jets in the air every day since the ceasefire with Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump on Sunday discussed a possible renewal of full-scale war with Iran, according to a person familiar with the matter not authorized to discuss that publicly. President Trump said in a social media post, "For Iran, the clock is ticking." Former Mossad official Sima Shine.
I think we are very close to a decision of the president.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2:00 p.m. session of Roanoke City Council on Monday, May 18th, 2026. City Council meetings will be televised live and replayed on RBTV Channel 3 on Thursdays at 7:00 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and video streamed through YouTube Live at youtube.com/RoanokeVA. Council meetings are offered with closed captioning for the deaf or hard of hearing. This time I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Here.
Mr. Nash.
Here.
Mr. Vollison.
Here.
Ms. Powers. Here. Mr. Hagan.
Here.
Ms. Sanchez Jones. And Mayor Cobb.
Here, and a quorum is present. Thank you. We're honored this afternoon to welcome the Reverend Susan Bentley, chaplain at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital, to lead us in an invocation, and then I will follow that by leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I invite us to stand.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for our city of Roanoke and for our elected city council members who have accepted the responsibility to make decisions on behalf of all the citizens and the whole Roanoke Valley. Send down your spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice upon the council members, that they may listen to the citizens and deliberate on the items before them. Give them steadfast purpose so that they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. We pray in your holy name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Bentley. Council of the City of Roanoke is seeking applications for various vacancies on council-appointed authorities, boards, commissions, and committees. And to access an online application, you can visit the city's website at roanokeva.gov and go to the City Council page related to council-appointed vacancies. We're going to turn now to our presentations and acknowledgements and begin with our council shout-outs. This is an opportunity for each council member to share about special events that we've been able to attend over the course of our last couple of weeks and celebrations and good things happening throughout the life of the city. And I'm going to start this morning with Councilman Hagan.
All right. Gonna go first. So we got a lot. Obviously in May, we have a lot of different events going on throughout the city every weekend, every year. So I want to shout out Gainsborough Block Party, which I was able to attend. I was unfortunately not able to attend the local colors, but I heard it was pretty good from my colleagues. We've had a couple of grand openings like Elderberries downtown, which Mayor and I were able to attend, as well as a football game by the Roanoke Rampage. Also, Mayor and I were able to attend, and they were able to win in a charity game, raising money for Autumn Bushman. So shout out to them.
Councilwoman Sanchez-Jones.
Well, I also want to give a shout out to the local Colors Board. It was a beautiful day to be out there celebrating. And I love how many people were there. It was packed, so it was really nice. And also to the Gainsborough Neighborhood Day. It was really nice as well and well attended. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I was able to also attend Local Colors and had a really nice time at that, and really appreciated everyone who helps put that on every year. I think it's really great to see the diversity that lives and exists in our valley. And then from there, I got to go to not Local Colors, the Gainsborough Block Party, where I did not get my Hagen cake pop. So
You missed out.
I will be contacting Melissa to get a fill-in.
Mrs. Hagen.
Mrs. Hagen, excuse me. And then last night I had the pleasure of going to the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy 30th annual conservation celebration, where they celebrated 30 years of conserving vulnerable forest and farmland across the Roanoke Valley. And one of our former council colleagues and city Citizen of the Year, Rupert Cutler, was received the 2026 Lifetime Achievement Award. So congratulations to him, and thanks to everyone who came out last night. Thank you.
So we were carpooling this weekend because we all went to most of the same events. Local Colors was fantastic. It's one of my favorite festivals that go on every year. And the Gainsborough Block Party as well, with the Hagen cake pops. I did get mine. I was going to get that day, but Red Velvet's delicious, my favorite. But much thanks to Mrs. Hagen for that. And that evening, I got the privilege to attend the Southwest chapter of CLUE, Coalition of Labor Women United, who did a banquet to honor some recipients who do a lot of work within the labor space. And so it was good to be with some union brother and sisters in the wake of Abigail Spanberger vetoing collective bargaining. And so it was good to be able to be with them.
Councilman Paulison.
So I'll do the opposite and say thank you to everybody who came to Local Colors this weekend. As a board member, you may have seen me at the info booth. We were running around. There were so many folks there. We're really grateful for the support. This was our 35th year, and we look forward to 35 more and continued, because it's such a great way of celebrating all the diversity that lives here in Roanoke and calls it home. So thank you, everybody, for participating in that.
Yes, thank you. I had the opportunity on Thursday to attend the Women's Luncheon, celebrating women, art, and education at the Todman Museum. It's an annual event that they have, and it too was packed. Our city manager was there, our mayor was there. We got to see all the beautiful art and the wonderful things that women are doing with their businesses too in art. Also had the opportunity this week to do a ribbon cutting for a new adventure that's bringing part of their business to Roanoke. It's called Power Play. It's owned and operated by Spencer Foley. He's a graduate of Liberty University. His Power Play is a mobile event company that is now serving Roanoke, Lynchburg, and Charlottesville. He has interactive experiences. He brought with him that day the golf simulator, and it was pretty interesting. He also has an axe throwing, which my husband said he was glad I didn't get to see that. And he does full-scale event planning for corporate events, universities, and private parties. So it was interesting to see his new business and that he'll be bringing that to Roanoke for events.
Councilman Powers. And the only thing I'll add to all of these wonderful events and opportunities is that Friday evening, I had the honor of being present for the Bean Block Party, where we celebrated the both the retirement and the legacy work of Ms. Antoinette Bean, who's retiring after 20 years in Roanoke Public Libraries and was incredibly instrumental in helping to bring the Melrose Branch Library into its new location. And she is deeply loved and will be missed, but her legacy continues through everyone who's a part of the Melrose Library and our library system in the city of Roanoke. I'm going to invite now Ross Campbell, who's our Director of Public Works, Jeffrey Powell, Director of General Services, Cindy McFall, Director of Parks and Rec, and the masses of people that they're likely to introduce along the way to join me at the podium. Good. Always good to see everybody. Come on up, fill in. It's funny how everybody acts shy when they come in here, but they're full of personality when they're doing their thing. Well, we are delighted to celebrate National Public Works Week, and I'd like to share this proclamation. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, fleet equipment, solid waste, and services that are vital to creating sustainable and resilient communities and are essential to the public health, safety, high quality of life, and overall well-being of the people of the city of Roanoke. Whereas these services could not be delivered without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, including engineers, managers, operators, and employees at every level of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation systems, our water supply, our water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other critical facilities. Whereas it is in the public interest for residents, civic and business leaders, and youth in the city of Roanoke to gain knowledge of and maintain a continuing interest in the vital role that public works plays in our daily lives. Whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, with the theme Rooted in Service, Powered by Community, highlighting the inspiring people who serve their communities with purpose and dedication every day. Now therefore I, Joseph L. Cobb, Mayor of the City of Roanoke, encourage all residents to join me in recognizing and honoring the critical contributions made by our public works professionals who keep Roanoke safe, connected, clean, and thriving, and do hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through 24th, 2026 throughout this great 8-time All-America City as National Public Works Week. Thank you all. All right, who gets to go first?
I'll make a quick statement, Mayor, and,
All right.
and then we'll have them come up. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Vice Mayor and members of Council for this recognition. The theme this year, rooted in service, powered by community, really speaks to what drives this team here. Whether it's collecting solid waste, maintaining our fleet vehicles, our parks, our facilities, our work is essential and often not seen because it's behind the scenes. But serving our community is what makes us happy. It's what drives us to make this place a great place to live, work, and play every day in our city. Your support means a great deal to this team and recognizes and reinforces the value of commitment to hard work. At this time, I'd like to invite a few of our team members up. This is not everybody. A few of our team members up to introduce themselves and state which department they work in. So we'll start with this side here, Luke.
My name is Luke Jones. I'm a GIS specialist with asset management.
Yeah, make your way on up front because we're going to get a picture.
Hi, my name is Emma Coogan. I'm also with Asset Management as a GIS technician.
My name is Lori Eanes, and I'm with the Engineering Division.
I'm Terry Kemp. I'm a project manager for the Engineering Division.
Christopher Blakeman, Environmental Manager.
I'm Gwyneth Martin. I'm an environmental specialist with our Stormwater Division.
I'm Jonathan Crook. I'm an engineer with our stormwater utility.
Joshua Richards with Stormwater Maintenance Technician.
Alan Adams, Transportation, Small Engine Mechanic.
Good afternoon, Luke Pugh, City Engineer.
I'm Cameron Carmera. I'm with Fleet Management. I'm the Fleet Service Advisor.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Riley. I'm the Parks Manager with Parks and Recreation.
Hi, this is Sam Matson with Urban Forestry with Parks and Recreation.
I'm Steve Brockman, Fleet Maintenance Supervisor.
Hi, Ellie Rigby, Park Management Coordinator.
I'm Bill West. I'm the Forester of the City of Roanoke.
Paul Overman, the Mechanical Supervisor for Facilities Management.
Cheyenne Sallier for Facilities and Custodial Management Project Coordinator.
Now, before we get our picture, I know council, you all are kind of hiding behind these amazing people, but would you all like to share any comments?
I would just like to say thank you all very much. I see the work that you do every day as I drive throughout our city, and each and every one of you just have a wonderful, hard job, but you do a great job. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Others?
I'd like to say that I have a renewed appreciation for our snow fighters after this past year, and there's so much that y'all do that's vital to our everyday survival that we just take for granted. And so thank you for keeping those systems running really well and keeping us all safe and sound. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you all for all you do, especially the GIS people, the GIS folks. That's my favorite website. I spend like the most time on GIS. I'm like, who owns that right there? So thank you for all that y'all do, and everyone, each of you. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for all of your work.
Thank you very much for making it look easy, even though your guys are stretched to the max. So thank you very much for what you do.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's do this.
All right, we're gonna have to squeeze way in.
Thank you.
Maybe make 2 rows.
Get them while you can, right?
Okay, hold on a sec. Oh, yeah, right there.
All right, unless you can make me 5 feet taller, we're gonna squeeze way in even more. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Now it's my pleasure to call on our city manager, Ms. Turner, for our next presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to invite Donna Davis to come up. Today I have the honor of acknowledging Melrose Plaza as a recipient of the Virginia Economic Developers Association, or VEDA, Community Economic Development Award. Located in Northwest Roanoke, Melrose Plaza provides resources for people to thrive. In VEDA's words, Melrose Plaza is a transformative multi-use community hub that integrates essential services, including education, healthcare, food access, and financial resources, into a single accessible location. Anchored by Virginia's first adult high school within such development, the project addresses systemic barriers while fostering economic mobility. With $34 million in investment and a highly innovative capital branding financial structure, Melrose Plaza serves as a national model for holistic, community-centered economic development. Because of Melrose Plaza, 19,000 residents no longer live in a food desert, and 14,000 adults in Roanoke now have access to earn their high school diploma. VITA announced that Melrose Plaza had won the award at a spring 2026 conference in Williamsburg, Virginia. This is a statewide economic development award. It recognized 5 communities across the Commonwealth for exceptional initiatives that advance economic vitality through innovative collaboration and economics. We are so, so proud of Melrose, and we're excited to be a partner. So we just wanted to acknowledge you all today. Love the tie, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And this is the lovely award that they received.
Thank you so much.
I'm Donna Davis, as you know, and I'm always very proud to represent Melrose Plaza. And going to Williamsburg and accepting this award was a very exceptional opportunity for me. I had to do a TED Talk, which I'd never done before. But everyone was so welcoming and so interested in the Melrose Plaza project. We've been receiving all types of emails and interest from communities all around the country. And to win this award just kind of cements the fact that this is a project that we should all be proud of. And I'm just very happy to represent this. And thank you so much for the acknowledgement. I don't. I wanted to acknowledge Brandon, though, from the Economic Development Office, because he was there with me in Williamsburg when we accepted the award.
Thank you very much. Council?
Yes, I would like to say thank you very much. I actually have a friend that has done the adult school and graduated.
Yes.
And was very excited, and I could already see a big difference in him, and just, that he really feels good about himself. And so thank you for what you do.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. The Melrose Plaza has turned into a great pillar of the community, and so we really are proud to partner with you and proud of you for this award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. I love Melrose Plaza, and it's exciting to see it really taking off. So thank you, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. But I also want to encourage the public to come out and shop at Melrose Plaza and take advantage of the cafe. It's wonderful food.
Yeah, just echo congratulations. Shop at Melrose Plaza, all that stuff. I'm so happy that's there.
Thank you. I wanted to add that, we have not been open a year yet, so we're getting ready to celebrate our first anniversary in July.
Mhm.
So we're just getting started, so look for great things to come.
Good. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for those celebrations. We'll move on to item 3 in our agenda, which is the hearing of citizens upon public matters. As always, this is a time that we set aside as a priority for citizens to be heard. All matters will be referred to the city manager for response, recommendation, or report back to council as she may deem appropriate. For those who may be speaking for the first time before council today, when you come up, just come up to the podium. The mic is live. There is a box in the right-hand corner that has 3 minutes on it. Green means go, yellow means it's a signal for 1 minute left, and then red means please stop. If you're in mid-sentence, I'll work with you to finish out. Madam Clerk, do we have citizens signed up to speak today?
We do. We have 3 speakers. The
If you'll,
first,
if you'll just call them one by one.
Okay.
Since we just have 3 today.
we have Frida Cathcart, Director Frida Cathcart.
Welcome, Ms. Cathcart.
Hi. I don't want this time to start right now, please, because I made a request, and I've done it before when I signed up to speak, to be acknowledged when I put in the comments that I'm a director, Frida Cathcart. I represent the constituents of Roanoke City, including the members of council, and I'd like the respect that that deserves when I'm
Sure.
wearing the shirt.
Thank
and
you,
that's the
Director
position that
Cathcart,
I'm
for
in.
being here today.
Thank you. I'm very concerned that the city is discussing Evans Springs as if there's not a state code protecting, I don't know how many acres, but a good bit of those acres is wetlands, swampland. It's protected by state code for conservation. I sent you all the citation, what the state code is, and it's the function of the wetlands that's protected. So before you have any serious discussions about what's developable and what isn't, there needs to be a hydrology report, there needs to be an environmental impact statement, and those need to be done before these discussions happen. Because if they're not done beforehand, it can mislead developers and citizens to believe that something can be developed when it can't. And that means that it could be a higher cost that the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy might be paying for land that it looks like it can be developed when it can't. I mean, there's jokes about selling swampland. But I just wanted to let you all know, in the state of Virginia, in our Commonwealth, our wetlands, our inland wetlands, like Evans Springs, is protected, and for very good reasons. It has to do with flood resiliency. And if any city should know about the importance of flood resiliency, it should be the city of Roanoke after that catastrophic 1985 flood. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention, that it's creating a lot of buzz, and frankly, I think it makes the city of Roanoke look like, it doesn't look good. And we need to do the work so that we look well and that we're doing things that are on the up and up and transparent and accountable to the public. The second thing I wanted to bring to y'all's attention is the zoning amendments. My concern for that is the trees. I haven't heard them discussed. And I went to the survey that the staff did, and it didn't make sense to me. It was about setbacks and things like that. I'm like, I want to know if the emergency vehicles can get to the calls when they're called, get through the streets, and I want to know if the tree canopy is being protected. And I didn't see that anywhere being addressed, or a place for me to put the comments except to send it to you, which I've done before. So I just wanted my constituents to know that I'm here advocating on their behalf to say these are really important issues that need to be answered when things are happening, before things are written down. And it's hard to change them once that happens. But to have comprehensive, complete information for you and the public to consider, because it really makes a difference in our quality of life, our ability to get insurance, and our bond rating. So I wanted to come down today and please ask you to pause and consider these issues before you take votes that doesn't make us look good. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cathcart.
The next speaker is Dan Crawford.
Welcome, Mr. Crawford.
Afternoon, Mayor Cobb, members of council. Thank you for hearing me. You've heard me before, so I'm going to cut to the chase and be brief. The 150 acres being considered for development poses numerous challenges and exciting opportunities. The principal players involved here would include the property owners whose property tax payments we've been enjoying for years, the community that will be impacted by development, the city of Roanoke, or you, who have to decide what's best for the all involved, and Mother Nature. Mother Nature's health is the primary concern of the Sierra Club. I'm sorry I didn't introduce myself. Dan Crawford, 2311 Kipling. Sorry about that. Chair of the Roanoke Group of the Sierra Club. Sorry. Anyway, Mother Nature is our primary concern, along with the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy and the entities that they will work with if we decide that conservation is the appropriate option. The various property owners, they're going to decide who to sell to. If we include conservation in this issue, it will serve everyone involved best. Please give option 3 the consideration and support it involves. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for the very hard job you do.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
The next speaker will be Catherine Patton.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Haddam. Should I press a button? Cancel this guy out?
I just started.
Man, I wanted to press buttons, guys. Hi, my name is Catherine Haddam. For those of you who don't know me personally, I am a proud graduate of Roanoke City Schools. My permanent address, however, is in Botetourt County. As all of you, as well as the audience probably knows, there's some pretty big public upset about the data center proposed in Botetourt County. Folks are upset, as with very good reason. There is outrage and disbelief, honestly, throughout the surrounding areas that this project has been pushed forward with the speed and the lack of transparency that it has. Botetourt County officials and the Water Authority, unfortunately, have gone against community wishes. We've told them every step of the way that this isn't what the community wants. This does not benefit the community. In fact, it hurts our community. Doesn't provide jobs, doesn't add to the tax base. You guys know the reasons. With alarming rumors of possible data centers in Franklin County, Roanoke County, and in the city itself, we think it is very important that we shine a light on these issues. About a week ago, we worked with the zoning department. We submitted some possible addendums and additions to the current zoning amendments. We would love for you to consider those. We know you're voting on them tonight. If you haven't received them personally yet, you will shortly in your inbox. We're going to make sure that you all have those. They do not drastically rewrite any of the good work that zoning has done. It just adds a couple different best practices from the energy sector itself, as well as from Albemarle and Fauquier counties that have had more experience with this. Please do consider these things. It's everything from protections for schools being in the area. As you know, in Botetourt County, they are proposing this data center is a mere feet away from schools on the same campus. We want to make sure that our wetlands, our schools, our kids, our future, and our water are protected. We would ask, because you are considering a lot of amendments today, that you either separate them out into sections if the council cannot agree on certain parts of it. That way you don't have to throw the whole thing out, and or that you go by line, and or that the zoning folks have more time to review, because as with so many departments, they are critically understaffed. So we, in conclusion, would very much appreciate that you consider these additions carefully to further protect the community and the public good. I will echo that we should be concerned about our water, our wetlands, and I hope that this council will be a good influence on the surrounding municipalities, as well as specifically the Water Authority, because it's all the same water, no matter what they tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thanks to all of our speakers who showed up today to share your insights. We appreciate it. I'm going to move now to item 4 in our agenda, which is the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by members of City Council. and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. There are two requests for closed meetings. One from the mayor and one from the city attorney. One is to discuss the council's code of conduct and ethics, as well as each council member's obligations thereunder as permitted pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 Code of Virginia as amended. And number two, from the city attorney to consult with legal counsel regarding a certain legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by the city attorney concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the northwest area of the city of Roanoke. This is pursuant to section 2.2-3711A5 Code of Virginia as amended. We have two walk-on closed meetings, which I would like to add as an amendment to the consent agenda. The first is from, actually, these are both from our attorney, right? The first is to request that council convene in a closed meeting for the discussion of an amendment of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, negotiating new consideration and promises, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, pursuant to section 2.2-3711A29 Code of Virginia as amended. And then secondly, a request from the city attorney that council convene in a closed meeting to consult with legal counsel regarding a certain legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by the city attorney concerning contract obligations involving a city-owned facility in the central part of the city of Roanoke. This is pursuant to section 2.2-3711A8 Code of Virginia as amended. So I would like to request that whoever is willing to make a motion.
Amended.
Thank you.
Yeah. Second.
All right, thank you. Council members Volleson and Hagan for moving an amended consent agenda for adoption. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers. Aye. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the consent agenda as amended is adopted. Thank you. We move now to our regular agenda. We have no public hearings this afternoon, so we'll move into our petitions and communications. And I am pleased to welcome Zenith Barrett, Regional Advancement Officer for VIA Centers for Neurodevelopment, to make a presentation this afternoon on the overview of activities for VIA Centers. Come on up. We're happy to have you here, and I think we're going to get your PowerPoint presentation up. Welcome, Ms. Barrett. It's so good to see you.
Yes, thank you. Nice to see you as well. And good afternoon, Mayor Cobb, members of the Roanoke City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present information about VIA Centers for Neurodevelopment and the services we provide, the impact we are making in the Roanoke community to build a more inclusive communities. My name is Zenith Barrett. I have the pleasure of serving as the Regional Advancement Officer for VIA here in the Roanoke region. VIA, since its founding in 1996, VIA has been dedicated to really empowering people to embrace the strengths and meet the challenges related to autism and neurodevelopmental disabilities. We do this through compassionate, evidence-based services that supports individuals across a lifespan. We remain grounded in a clear vision, a world where individuals, families, and communities not only support, but embrace and celebrate the differences related to autism and neurodevelopmental disabilities, ensuring that every person has the opportunity to live a fulfilling life. I feel like everything starts with our why, right? Why do we do the things that we do? To underscore the importance of this work, current data shows 1 in 45 adults are diagnosed with autism. This is growing. It's a growing need, reinforces the importance of evidence-based and community-centered services, and has really shaped VIA's growth in the communities in which we serve. The programs and services that we offer here in the Roanoke community, VIA offers the following services: specialized school services, adult programs, and soon the launch of a pediatrics ABA early intervention services. Many of the individuals in our program engage in challenging behaviors stemming from an inability to communicate basic wants and needs. Through highly individualized programs, we teach communication, academic, and social skills. By helping individuals express themselves, we successfully replace challenged behaviors with functional communication and build the skills they need to be active and engaged in their communities. And together, these programs allow us to meet individuals and families at every stage of life. In our adult program, we offer a number of services. Day services, which is our VIA Club and Hub. These programs help participants develop friendships, enhance physical well-being, further civic involvement, and explore creative abilities. Small group outings. We love to go out in the community, do a lot of community engagement, and activities that foster lifelong learning. The program matches individuals' interests and abilities to meaningful employment in the community. It's all about live, work, and play. We also offer VIA Ventures. These micro enterprises are designed to really teach skills and employ individuals to really produce and sell products to the local community. And then lastly, we offer support services, which is our behavioral consultation. And these services provides licensed behavioral analysts to work with individuals and their caregivers to develop and implement behavior support plans. We really want to help people live, work, and play to the fullest extent possible. And so one of the whys for children is approximately 1 in 31 children are diagnosed with autism, and that number continues to grow. In Roanoke, we'll be expanding our services in the Roanoke community in August, serving up to 10 children, school age, 18 months to about 5 to 6 years old, to help them become kindergarten ready. This program will focus on building a strong foundation for kindergarten readiness and that long-term impact. We believe the earlier we start, the more we can make an impact in the children's lives. And speaking of impact, at VIA, we currently serve approximately 120 students and adults in the Roanoke area, 60 to about 65 students, 60 adults, and we operate as a strategic extension of the school systems. Our goal is to prepare individuals to go back into their school divisions. In our adult services, 98% of individuals in the Club and Hub program and in our adult location participate in community engagement activities. And then our pediatrics program that we are excited to bring to the Roanoke community achieves an average of 85% reduction in challenging behaviors, and we strive to replicate that model here and that number as well. It's all about creating a shared value. And so as we think about building a more inclusive, thriving community, our mission, services, and vision for the future are closely aligned with the work that you all do in the city of Roanoke. The goal is to strengthen health, outreach, and education for the vulnerable communities, in and around Roanoke. And central to this work is our commitment to building inclusive communities, ensuring individuals have an opportunity to live, work, and play, which is central to the mission. Partnerships working collaboratively with local businesses and other nonprofit agencies, school districts, and families. And through this intentional regional collaboration, we are improving access, equity, supporting the school systems, in the long-term community well-being. We are bridging science and service to build a brighter future. And so we welcome you all to get more involved, continue with the support, partner with us. We welcome you all to take a tour. I think I've reached out to many of you all to take a tour and really see our programs in action, learn more about the work that we're doing, and join us in building a more inclusive community and opportunity for a rich community. And so in closing, I want to thank you all for, number one, recognizing VIA with the proclamation last month in honor of Autism Acceptance Month. And I want to thank you for the opportunity just to share more about the work that we're doing and for your continued support. So I thank you. VIA is more than just a service provider, and we look forward to continuing to serve individuals and families in Roanoke. I look forward to strengthening our partnership and working with you all to make Roanoke an inclusive city for everyone. Thank you.
So much, Ms. Barrett. I'll turn to my colleagues for any questions or follow-up that they have.
Thank you for your presentation. I learned things I didn't know, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the work that you're doing here in the city.
Thank you.
I want to commend to not only my colleagues, but any families, individuals who have loved ones on the spectrum or might be able to benefit from your services to take a tour. You have 2 locations, one in the county, one in the city, but the reach you have, the impact that your faculty and staff are making in children and adult lives, and the fact that you're now expanding to include this pediatric component and readiness for kindergarten, that's going to be a game changer for a lot of our children. So thank you for all of your work, and please convey our gratitude to your leadership team.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Move now to our reports of city officers and the city manager. And I'm pleased to call on City Manager Ms. Turner for a briefing on the presentation of the Safety Action Plan and Speed Management Action Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. This afternoon, you will receive a briefing on the proposed 2026 Safety Action Plan and Speed Management Action Plan. These plans were developed through the U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program and are intended to support the city's Vision Zero initiatives, which focuses on reducing traffic fatalities and serious injuries through data-driven safety improvements, speed management strategies, and targeted investments along high-risk corridors. This plan also aligned with the transportation safety priorities outlined in the City Plan 2040. Adoption of the plan is important because it keeps the city eligible for future federal transportation safety funding. As part of the process, we will hold a public hearing during the 7 p.m. meeting this evening. Council will be asked to formally adopt the plan. As such, the Public Works Transportation Division is partnering with the Ferguson Group to apply for the federal Safe Streets and for All grant with applications due May 26. The proposed project includes approximately $6 million in pedestrian safety improvements along Williamson Road corridor, including sidewalks and ADA ramps. The Ferguson Group believes this project is highly competitive for funding, and also the Planning Commission has recommended approval for the plan. So I'd like to turn it over to Ross Campbell and his team.
Welcome, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor and members of council. I'd like to introduce Mr. Andy Clark. He is the Director of Strategy with Tool Design. Andy and his team have played a critical role in helping city staff develop Roanoke City's first ever safety action plan and speed management plan. Over the past several months, he and his team have supported staff through extensive community engagement, including listening sessions, walk audits, surveys, and detailed data analysis. As Ms. Turner mentioned, this work was made possible through funding provided by the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets for All grant program, and we aim to further leverage this program to take care of additional work here in the city to improve our safety of our streets for all users in aims of reaching our goal by 2040 of having 0 fatalities on our city streets. Mr. Clark.
Welcome, Mr. Clark.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. And Ross, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to work with the tremendous team in the Transportation Engineering Department, who we've been working with closely over the last, during the development of the plan. The planning process began with a dive into the data. This is a data-driven process that is embraces the safe system approach that the Federal Highway Administration, U.S. Department of Transportation has been using for the last 4 or 5 years to focus our attention as communities and as a nation on eliminating fatal and serious injury crashes on our streets, with the fundamental belief that they are not accidents, they are preventable tragedies, and we should be doing all we can to achieve that. So we took a close look at the data to establish from a sort of an objective point of view what was happening on city streets. And there are a dozen people who, on average every year, who lose their lives in traffic crashes on city streets. And it is the elimination of those tragedies that affect the lives of so many people in the community and the serious injuries that affect even more that is the target of the roadmap that this plan represents. We got to develop the plan in collaboration concurrent with other initiatives that were already going on in the community. And the staff team behind me did a fantastic job of making sure that we were fully aware of projects like Envision Williamson Road and ongoing projects that, including the speed management plan that were developed at the same time as this, as the safety action plan. And all of the documentation is included in the 200+ page report that I'm sure you all have committed to memory already. We used the data to identify high crash locations and went beyond just the high crash locations to identify those streets that have a high propensity based on their land use characteristics, the demographics, the roadway characteristics, that are highly likely to have crashes in the future in order to help you get ahead of the crash problem as well as reacting in the sort of immediate aftermath of fatal and serious injury collisions. In addition to the objective data, I want to stress that we took a lot of time to engage with the community and had the privilege of attending National Night Out events. We had some events hosted by Pedal Safe Roanoke and the Greenways Commission. We got the chance to talk to a lot of people in all corners of the city in the development of the planning process. That is a critical parallel process to the objective crash data. And we got to talk to neighborhood groups, to community organizations. We had an advisory committee meeting for the committee for the project that had a diverse range of organizations, neighborhood organizations, and people representing the different parts of the city administration as well as the community. We had an interactive map and survey that people were able to fill out and share their information on those things. And the responses probably will not come as a surprise to you. The concerns that people expressed to us, what we were interested to find out was how that matched up to the crash data and the crash locations that we had researched up to that point. And you will see that there was quite a bit of overlap, and we were able to put some pieces of the puzzle together to address some of the overwhelming concerns that people had in the community. It was interesting, for example, to learn from the police department that in a conversation we had with them, that regardless of why they are called out to a community event or activity, people always want to talk to them about speed and traffic in the neighborhood and ways that can be resolved. And it was instructive to them, we were told, that this plan was being done because they felt the entire responsibility for traffic safety was on them, and didn't realize there were many other parts of the government and the city that were our partners in that endeavor. And part of the purpose of doing this plan was to make sure those connections were made and people understood their respective roles, and that no one entity is responsible for getting us to zero. We did a number of walk audits. Unfortunately, the Melrose Plaza was not open when we did our walk around the Envision Center and down Salem Turnpike, and we walked all around the block and saw the construction underway. We went on 4 walk audits in different quadrants of the city, just to get a really good firsthand experience of the conditions and some of the good and bad issues that we wanted to identify and address in the plan. Bringing all that together, there was a convergence. People were concerned about the most vulnerable road users, and if we address the safety of the most vulnerable road users, we benefit drivers as well as pedestrians, but people on bikes and motorcyclists. Speeding and distracted driving, as I mentioned, were high on the list of concerns and the contributing causes to the crashes in the data. And there was a general sense that the street network is sort of too forgiving for people to take care driving. I noticed the curb extensions at Grandin and Brandon, for example, that kind of encourage people to drive a little slower as they take the corners. If we don't do that, people are much less likely to yield to pedestrians as they turn the corner, and those extensions help to kind of slow people down and just have a calmer feel on the street, which is part of what we were trying to achieve. So we boiled this down into a series of priority issues, geographic issues and locations and focus areas, the culture of safety and school and youth travel, for example. And we acknowledged that the current system not only is responsible for the loss of life and serious injuries, but discourages people from walking and biking and really enjoying the community in the fullest way, and to really have a choice, which is more important than ever given the price of gas and the need for opportunities for people in the community. We then matched up those focus areas and issues with a confined list of safety countermeasures that were drawn from reliable research, Federal Highway Administration and other sources, to match up the issues with potential safety measures. There are 30 in one of the appendices, and those 30, if you read each one of them, there's a reason for them being there. There's a paragraph that says what experience you may have already had in the city with those roadway designs. And there are examples of where they are relevant based on the information and community input that we got to the plan. The next step was to develop a set of actions and strategies with staff, with the project advisory group, to determine what the city can do to implement those countermeasures to address the crashes that the community and the data tell us are the most significant. And those actions and strategies are organized by short, medium, and long-term priority. They are identified in terms of their relevance to the crash problems, and there is a cost, sort of planning level cost estimate for the fiscal impact of each of those measures. And that action plan, some of the elements were already underway and are already, we're already seeing some progress that absolutely mirrors the priorities of the safety action plan. The Gainsborough bike lane project, the Williamson Road project, those are exactly the kinds of things that the safety action plan would recommend. They were already in the works as we were developing the process. Finally, the plan will have a an accountability measure, a dashboard that will be on the city's website that will enable people to track progress against the crash goals and the crash targets and the VDOT data that maps those crashes. So I am proud to recommend this safety action plan to you. I think it is a critical roadmap to helping you get to the goal of eliminating fatal and serious injury crashes, and it will do so in a way that is consistent with many other goals related to health, safety, community development, economic development, equity that are important to you in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for that excellent overview. Questions? Mr. Nash.
I have one. So I was kind of skimming through that document. And it is a beast of a document. I'll get through it at some point. But one of the questions, or one of the thoughts that came to my mind, and I didn't see this listed in there, so I could have missed it. Maybe I didn't get that deep enough into it. But for pedestrians and cyclists, a lot of them commute to a bus stop location where then they catch the bus and get on. And we have an advocacy group here that is always advocating for improved bus stops and safety measures at those bus stops. And so is that a part of this plan? And what is our plan to, can you kind of speak a little bit to that?
Yes, that is part of the plan. GRTC was part of the project advisory committee. And it would be remiss of me not to say the safest way for people to get around in the city is actually on the bus. The transit service and system is the safest of all. But sometimes getting to and from it, the stops, it can be an issue. So we did look at the location of bus stops and their whether they are near side or far side bus stops. I think on Williamson Road they were adjusted to plan to be adjusted to put them in the safest place for people, for example, so they don't have to cross the street in front of the bus immediately when they get off the bus. So yes, in short, the answer is that was definitely considered, and that combination of certainly biking and bus, using the bus and walking and getting to the bus safely was uppermost in our minds.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Question, Mr. Volleson.
I just want to say, thank you. This is a great overview. Just looking at the high injury and risk networks, I know we're working on Orange Avenue, but I see a lot of that is Melrose Avenue, and it's clearly what we need to be starting to work on after Williamson, or if not, simultaneously, because that corridor is long and red on this, and so we need to make sure.
Yeah, the Melrose Rugby neighborhood, either side of Orange, it was instructive to see the pedestrian high injury network is very dense in that area, suggesting that there is sort of a neighborhood-wide issue with people getting hit and injured, particularly on foot. And so that would be a prime opportunity to develop kind of a neighborhood traffic calming plan around that area using the safety measures that are in the appendix. So you're right to call that out as an area of concern.
Step in on that one here just real quick, Councilmember Volleson. So currently in planning right now, and we're wrapping up some of the community engagement, but as you may recall, between 11th Street and 20th Street on Orange Avenue as it transitions into Melrose, the Water Authority has been doing a infrastructure improvement project. And the pavement out there right now is rather rough. That's been what they call base mix, preparatory for them having full pavement restoration. The city has an opportunity as part of that restoration project to spend a little additional money and get full curb-to-curb pavement out of that restoration, and we aim to take advantage of that. Along with that, as we've looked at the traffic volumes out there, we've looked at what the community is telling us they want to see those pedestrian improvements through that area, including crosswalk improvements. And then there has been some call for a center turn lane. The traffic volumes out there are such where it supports that. There are currently 2 westbound lanes and 1 eastbound lane. So, given that you have the offset configuration and the lane numbers, it certainly supports the fact that it will sustain that. And so that's coming very soon, and we'll have more feedback as we wrap up the community engagement on that. But yes, we are working towards that particular hotspot.
Great. That's great to hear. Thank
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had one, and I wrote it down not to forget it, and I forgot it. But mopeds. Recently, we've had some incidences where moped drivers have been hit, and I know that a moped is not supposed to be in the bike lane or on the sidewalk, and at the same time, they're not really the most ideal to be in the main road with cars and especially distracted drivers. And so, what are thoughts or ideas about mopeds and how we accommodate that mode of transportation on our roadways?
Yeah, mopeds and motorcyclists are sort of, they suffer some of the same crash types as people on bikes. People turning left across their path, people not looking and realizing they're there. But it happens at such a higher rate of speed that the consequences can be more serious. And so that was something we looked at. There's a chapter on motorcycles that I think is very relevant to the moped issue. We did not get into, but I'm sure before long you will be dealing with the issue of e-bikes and their management, it is really important to maintain the sort of common sense distinction between motorcycles and mopeds and bikes and e-bikes. But in general, we want the streets to be safe enough that people can operate a moped or motorcycle in a safe manner at speeds that if there is a collision, that they are more than likely going to be able to survive. That's kind of the principle or premise of the safe system approach. And so in general, we found that many of the efforts to calm traffic and create a more consistent traffic pattern and flow will benefit mopeds and motorcyclists quite significantly. There will always be more education and enforcement that can back that up, but there are things we can do in the roadway system that will certainly help those users.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just say I think that's a really good question, and we may continue talking about that as we see more and more e-bikes on our greenways and the different classifications of those and some safety issues that arise when you're flying 27 miles an hour down a greenway. So I thought that was a really good question. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Turner and Mr. Campbell and your staff for bringing this forward to us. This is an issue that's really important to me, and I appreciated hearing you say or connecting those dots for us, that it is about safety, but it's also about transportation equity. It's about complete neighborhoods, which is good for economic development. And I think that this is really going to be great for us, I think, because we have so much opportunity around the city to make these improvements that I think are going to really make meaningful differences in how people get around. And I appreciate Mr. Volleson brought up, did you say Orange Avenue? I also see, I live a block off of Franklin, and that's one of those nasty crimson streets.
Yes.
And then I see over in Southeast, I think that's Bullitt and Jameson. And it's good to see that, because in my neighborhood, it really does separate Old Southwest, and you don't get the connectivity. People are afraid to cross Franklin Road, and similarly Elm Avenue, which is, I see, slightly less dangerous, but we still don't cross it if we don't have to.
Right.
So thank you very much, because I think this is going to make a really big difference in all of our neighborhoods, and I really look forward to supporting it however we can. And just thank you again to all of your staff.
Hagan?
Yeah, I had a question, and this might be a little bit out there. Actually, two questions, both. So I noticed in the packet there was a graph where it basically had like, hey, here's how many deaths the U.S. has from fatalities, and then Germany, I think Spain, so on and so forth.
Sweden, I'm sure.
Yeah, Sweden. Is there any reason why, like, apart from what's been presented, as any other reasons why Germany has such a lower one? Because doesn't the Autobahn not have a speed limit?
So that is, I could, yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that question briefly, but the reason the U.S. is so different is that it has only just embraced this safe system approach, which is sort of based on the laws of physics. Like, we have to prevent people crashing into each other at speeds that the body can't survive or tolerate. When there are people walking and riding bikes and using mopeds and motorcycles on the street, they are very vulnerable people. And so we have to set our speed limits and achieve a degree of separation between users who are going faster than that in order to prevent fatal and serious injury collisions. That is what the Germans and the Swedes and other countries have been doing for decades. Sadly, we have not. At the same time, our vehicles are getting larger, they are getting heavier. The ability to see things through the windshield is diminishing. And so we're trying to sort of buck that trend at the same time as embracing this safe system approach, the Vision Zero principles. And so, yeah, we have a lot of catching up to do with our economic counterparts.
Okay, and the other question had to do with the word map.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Well, what do you attribute all the numbers on that? Because I noticed that there were like 15 to 20 different numbers. Just it could be, I'm guessing, were people just using that to be like, hey, this street. Oh yeah, so 15, 4, 5, 6, 25, 55, an
That's a really good
emoji.
question. I would have to guess it's the street numbers.
Okay. Yeah.
That doesn't explain zero, but zero is kind of key to the whole endeavor. So I'm glad that one made it on there somewhere. But I think it must be the street numbers.
Okay. Thank you.
Judge Jones.
I think this a question might be for Mr. Campbell. Do you know how much it costs to have a 1 mile of sidewalk? Do you know the cost of that?
It's really dependent upon the topography of the area and how much additional work that we have to do as far as slope cutbacks and keeping the cross slope. So there are some guidelines on the cross slope as well as the overall slope of the sidewalk. So it's 8% and 5% are some of those key numbers. But I would say just in general, we're looking at about $1 million a mile right now.
Thank you. And how many miles of sidewalks do we need?
Thousands.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Which is why we look at the most critical gaps to start first.
Allison?
You know, as we focus on more walkability and safer streets, are there different types of zoning that might actually improve the walkability of the city?
Yeah, any zoning changes that encourage shorter distances, mixed uses, that encourage walking, biking, and transit use are going to help with the safety picture. So yes, is the answer.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Well, Friday, I had the opportunity to participate in National Bike to Work Day. Rode about 17 miles around the city on a lot of different roads in the city. And I will say that there were parts that I felt very safe on and parts that I was slightly terrified. It helped that I was riding with a number of people, so we had a more significant presence as cyclists together, but it made me think about individual cyclists who are paying attention to the dedicated or protected bike lanes, or following the rules that cyclists follow, and then having to recognize that drivers are not necessarily either aware of those same rules or responsibilities, or just focusing on the vehicle that they're in. So it gave me a firsthand awareness of some aspects of this safety plan and why our Vision Zero progress is so important. So I just wanted to commend not only you and all departments involved in this to bring this plan before us, but I'd really encourage our citizens to get engaged with this and understand why these changes are important. Just recently, I noticed and I can't remember what those white bollards, thank you. I was going to call them stanchions, and that's something else. Anyway, the bollards that have appeared on at the intersection of Grandin and Brandon. And that's a particularly challenging intersection in our city. Heavily trafficked roads, but very wide crosswalks. And to instill opportunities for slowing traffic, making drivers especially more aware of the fact that they're turning and navigating at intersections where there are active crosswalks. I think all of those steps are important and helpful. And so I encourage people who are more prone to drive vehicles and get frustrated to take a step back and pause and realize why these things are being put in place. And it's as much to protect them as it is that's another thing, though, I wanted to add is that, certainly in the slide that talked about where there are shared concerns and talking about the most vulnerable, we talked about pedestrians, bicycles and motorcycles. And I would just add to that, people with disabilities that rely on mobility devices. I know some of our pedestrian fatalities have been people in wheelchairs, other mobility devices, and just acknowledging that for people who are trying to cross streets that are already very busy, navigating those streets and those crosswalks and those intersections is precarious at best of passages. So I think this is indicative of the importance of this plan, and I'm grateful.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Hagan.
With the increased usage of EVs, are we concerned at all about like how heavy that, because aren't those typically heavier than internal combustion?
Yes, they are. And yes, that is absolutely an issue. That's part of the reason the national trend, particularly for victims of crashes outside of motor vehicles, why that is continuing to get worse, is in part because of the size and weight, just the mass of vehicles. And EVs are definitely contributing to that. There are other benefits to those vehicles, obviously.
I'm not saying that there aren't. I was just thinking about it because you mentioned the
But
weight.
it is an issue, and it's why, if I may, it's why this plan is indeed so important, because we need to try to get ahead of that issue and not wonder 10 years from now why the numbers keep going the wrong way when we kind of know what we ought to be doing already.
Questions? All right. Well, we will look forward to the public hearing this evening, and thank you all again for your presentation today and your hard work on this, and to everyone in the community who's actively participated in this process.
Thank you.
We're going to move now into our items recommended for action. And our first item A is the acceptance and appropriation of the Virginia Business Ready Sites Program Grant for site development of Tract 8. We have one measure, an ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second on the ordinance.
The ordinance?
Thank you, Council Members Volleson and Powers. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of Phase 2 of the Virginia Business Ready Site Program Grant Award to the City of Roanoke from the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, authorizing the execution of any required documents on behalf of the city, appropriating funds detailed more fully infra, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Madam Clerk, are there comments or questions from members of council?
Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
I am in full support of more advanced manufacturing and generally what I consider good paying jobs that pay a living wage or better, provide benefits. And so would be excited to support this, but I guess I don't know that I personally have enough information today, because what I've been trying to sort out is how we might get the biggest bang for our buck here. And in that, I mean, making sure that we are keeping our focus on sustainable economic development. We know that our efforts to lift up sustainability, walkability, our bike trails, our connectivity is a big economic incentive, a development incentive that attracts a lot of people to our region. And I'm just trying to figure out in this location how we can, I know that there is a concept plan that for the Reed Mountain Greenway that connects to the Reed Mountain Preserve, and then also connects the Industrial Park to the Tinker Creek Greenway into downtown. And I think that's really important for two reasons. One is the recreational economic development piece of having the connectivity in our trail system to the Reed Mountain Preserve, which is a regional asset. And then the other benefit to that, I think, is making sure that we have the ability for the workers in that industrial park to be able to commute to downtown and to the rest of the city. And I think that it would strengthen our industrial center if we were to just avail ourselves of some really low-hanging fruit of thinking creatively about how do we best market the assets and resources that we already have. And I think we've done a lot of great work with that. But I'm just not able to support this today because it's not clear to me that we're looking at this holistically. And I would just like to be better assured that we're putting serious consideration into fulfilling the concept plan to get the Reed Mountain Greenway connected. And I have not been able to get that. So I just want to be on record that I fully support advanced manufacturing. I think it is great that we are getting this grant from the state. And I just wish that I hope that we will be able to think about this more holistically and involve council and the community and kind of having our cake and eating it too. So thank you.
Vice Mayor, other comments or questions? Mr. Nash.
I was going to ask, could someone explain what the difference is between the tier 3 and the tier 5? Early that change means and what that allows, or how are you?
Welcome, Ms. Condiff.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Mark Nelson isn't here today. He's attending a family funeral. So you were wanting to understand the different tier levels. So VDP has a tier system of how they define what ultimately leads up to a pad-ready site, and that is at tier 5. So last work that we just completed on track date was bringing us from a tier 3 to a tier 4, which is tier 3 is that we've done the site characterization, we know what's on the site. Tier 4, with our work with our engineers by AECOM, brought us up to design plans. We're working on getting our permits in place, things like that. And then this next iteration is actually doing the mass grading of the site. So, and I don't know if you want me to address the comments by Vice Mayor McGuire.
Sure, because I was going to ask a follow-up question to see what the flexibility
I just wanted
is.
you to know AECOM is working on that and looking at the trail connectivity and how we can marry those two together.
Well, I appreciate that. Just to clarify, I met with Economic Development and Parks and Recreation on January 30th.
Right.
And in that meeting, what I asked for, if possible, were just to see the maps of where are we clear cutting and grading, and then where do we have the concept plan, the concept path. I don't know what to say. That seems to me like really basic information that we should just have available and that shouldn't take 4 months to transmit over. So I'm interested. I appreciate Mr. Nelson did reply to an email I sent. I don't think that council has that information about exactly where we are clear cutting. Constituents have asked, where are we doing that? Will I be able to see it from the star? I don't know what to tell them because I don't have that information. So that's what I was curious. And then I'd also ask, because it looked like Mr. Nelson or Economic Development had suggested a change in the path itself. And so I was just curious for information on why we were proposing a westward shift. So I know you can't, I'm not asking you to speak for him, but those were just some of my concerns.
Yeah, no, I can pass those along, and I apologize if those weren't shared with you. I mean, I can tell you now, the part that's been cleared is on the western portion of the site, and the eastern portion is where the trail is envisioned, which runs along the water line. So
that was one of the pieces I asked for. Is I don't know. I mean, I think that there are wetlands somewhere on those properties, and I think I would just appreciate having information about what's there, and because people are asking me, and I don't know.
Yeah,
what
and
to tell them.
we've received communication from residents as well. So I've sent them that tree clearing map so they can see that their homes and the forestry line is not impacted by the tree clearing that's taken place. So, but I'll follow up with Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Allison.
Ms. Condiff, could you just give us a background of what this grant is for?
Yeah, so VDP created several years ago the Virginia Business Ready Sites program because they realized that Virginia was losing out on competitiveness to other states because speed to market right now is the #1 driving factor in economic development decisions. And a lot of localities didn't have the financial capacity on their own to get these sites pad ready, ready to market for an advanced manufacturer like Vice Mayor McGuire was talking about. So that's why the state created this grant. It has been a priority across both parties to fund this grant. And so that's the reason for it.
And what are we just approving the transfer of that funding today?
Correct. We were awarded the full funding in 2024, a total of $7.5 million. The first phase you all approved back in 2024 for $200,000. This is just phase 2, continuing that work of $7.3 million for grading the site.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
All right. Vice Mayor McGuire,
Nay.
Mr. Nash,
Aye.
Mr. Volleson,
Aye.
Ms. Powers,
Aye.
Mr. Hagan,
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones, and Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted, and I appreciate the thoughtful discussion about what we'd like to see have included in this as we go forward, and any of that information you can send to us is appreciated. Thank you. Item B, involving recommendations of the Human Services Advisory Board for funding. That matter is withdrawn at this time and will be addressed at a future council meeting. Item C, which is the acceptance of a donation of privately owned parcels, official tax map numbers 3140815 and 3140819, located at 0 Hollins Road Northeast. We have one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Volleson and Vice Mayor McGuire. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance accepting a donation of real property identified as being beneficial for floodplain management and environment preservation purposes from Ms. Shirley Phillips, authorizing city staff to execute appropriate acquisition documents for such real property interest, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Any council members have any comments or questions?
I have one question.
Sure, Ms. Powers.
So is this for the stormwater development for them in an area that's going to create an area not to continue to flood?
Thank you for that question, Ms. Powers. So these two parcels actually lay within what is known as the floodway and not the floodplain. So if you look at the most critical flood channel of the Tinker Creek in this case, when we do have a high water event, this is the area that's most likely to flood. Given the proximity to Hollins Road, it's a little bit difficult for us to do a whole lot of work because we'd have to change the geometry of the road through that area. But what it does allow us to do is to ensure that there's no future development, and more importantly, allows us to clear out some vegetation in order to allow the water more freely flow through the area there. So hopefully that will affect or lessen the impact of upstream flooding from that location in the future.
Powers, Mr. Volleson.
Would just say thank you to Ms. Phillips for donating the land
I
to
was
keep
about-
us all safe.
Kind of forward thinking.
I was actually about to ask, do we actually thank them? Just making sure that we end up doing that
Yeah.
just as a little tiny little thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Same breath.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
have people that always want to give us property because they don't want to take care of it. And they used to call my office all the time in Treasury and say, I'd like to give the city this property.
Very generous. Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers. Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones. And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Item D is the appropriation of fiscal year 25-26 capital improvement plan debt-funded projects. We have one measure and ordinance, and I'll entertain a motion and second.
Move that ordinance.
Thank you, Councilmembers Powers and Nash. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
An ordinance appropriating funding for the fiscal year 2024 through 2025 and the fiscal year 2025 through 2026 capital improvement plan debt funding projects, amending and reordaining certain sections of the FY 25-26 stormwater utility, civic facilities capital projects, and schools capital projects funds appropriation, and dispensing with the second reading of this title of this and dispensing, I apologize, and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Turner, do you have anything you'd like to share on this item?
So this is just finalizing the 2025 A bond sale that you all issued in November of 2025, and we're ready to move forward with the projects.
Thank you. Any discussion by members of council? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the ordinance is adopted. Thank you all. Now I'll turn to Ms. Turner for any comments you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two comments today. Construction is underway on the Riverland Road Star Trail Connection Project, with crews currently installing a major drainage system along Riverland Road. Upcoming phases include improvements to the Star Trail parking area, water quality upgrades, and a new pedestrian link connecting Garden City Greenway to Star Trail. Work at the Garden City Boulevard and Riverland Road intersection is expected to begin in June after the school year ends, with overall project completion anticipated in fall 2026. My second and last comment is the West Side Boulevard / Salem Turnpike Pedestrian Improvements Project has completed its underground utility work and is now moving into curb, gutter, sidewalks, and pavement restoration phases. Constructions remain on schedule for completion by mid-June, with funding provided through a VDOT Transportation Alternatives Grant and matching city funds. And those conclude my comments for today. Thank you.
I'll also turn to you or our staff for our public matters follow-up.
Thank you. I'd like to call Janelle Few. Ms. Hedrick, excuse me, is not available today.
Welcome, Ms. Pugh.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and Ms. Turner. During the April 20th meeting, residents shared concerns and suggestions regarding funding for Roanoke City Public Schools, gunshot detection technology, transit funding, and sidewalk repairs. Each of those speakers received a follow-up email acknowledging their comments and offering assistance with additional questions. A resident who expressed concern about vandalism in Old Southwest during the April 20th meeting received a follow-up email containing contact information for RPD's Southwest Zone Lieutenant. A resident who shared concerns and ideas regarding economic development opportunities in Northwest was provided information for economic development about several initiatives in that area, including the Main Street America program along 11th Street corridor, the creation of the Melrose Business Association, the opening of Melrose Plaza, and redevelopment of retail centers along the Hirschberger Road. During my last report, additional details were requested in reference to the Architectural Review Board's request to assist with the review of certificate appropriateness applications. Planning officials reported that discussions on expanding the ARB's role in the application review process were underway. Legal counsel indicated that an increased ARB involvement is feasible, and planning is finalizing logistical details and plans to meet with ARB to outline next steps. In the meantime, planning staff have resolved the recent administrative review backlog. As of May 9, all applications had been processed, resulting in 12 approvals and 10 resubmittal requests, which cleared the backlog and restored normal review operations. And during the last report, Councilwoman Powers requested additional communication regarding recycling pickup and delays. In addition to website banner graphics, alerts, press releases, and social media, information was displayed on RVTV Channel 3 from April 21st to May 2nd, when the regular recycling schedule was resumed.
We don't have any items from our city attorney or director of real estate valuation today. So I'll turn to my colleagues for any liaison reports for authorities, boards, or committees that we serve on. Anybody today? Yeah, Mr. Ballison?
On the regional commission, we have gotten to a balanced budget, and we'll be approving that next month, and thankfully no increases for the localities on that.
I have a couple reports. One is I serve as chair of the CEDS committee, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategies Committee, and we're responsible for adopting a 5-year plan, but we usually review it annually. We just went through a really thorough process of identifying economic growth and development priorities and approved those at our meeting this last week, and those are being sent on to the Regional Commission for their review and approval. And also we had our Greater Roanoke Transit Company Board of Directors meeting today, and there are several items I want to report out. First of all, this will come as no surprise to anyone, but fuel costs have gone up for everybody. I just spent a big chunk of money, even with a hybrid, on gas this month. But for diesel, the average price has gone from about $2.20 to about $4 based on what Valley Metro is able to purchase. And just to show the range, they've made payments for diesel anywhere from, I think a couple months ago it was $4.79 a gallon, and this month it was $3.99. So they're seeing a lot of fluctuation, but the overall cost is much higher. What that means locally is that Valley Metro is putting the electric vehicles on the roads more often. So all 3 of those you will likely see running. We're reducing any idling for the clean diesel buses, and just continuing to look at most effective use of the buses on the routes. Regarding the Walmart transit stop, I'm pleased to report that 2 things. First of all, the current bus stop next to the Ring Road has been moved up from where it has been for some time to closer to where the pumps are, the gas pumps. That is temporary, while Walmart is working to reconfigure their parking lot. There will be 2 large shelters on, can't get my directions straight, but on the far end of the parking lot. They are working to modify the ADA accessibility route from the front of the store to these new shelters, and Walmart is bearing the cost of virtually all of this because they want to make these improvements. What it will mean is there are and will continue to be 2 buses that serve the Valley View area, but 1 bus will actually go into the Walmart parking lot over to where the new shelters will be, and then they will exit right out of the parking lot. The other bus will stay on the Ring Road and then exit left onto Valley View Boulevard. So there's a slight modification in that. We don't know a set date yet for when these shelters will be open, but we will keep you posted on that. June 8th, GRTC will be hosting a public hearing at 7:00 p.m. at the Customer Service Center, which is the smaller of the 2 buildings at 3rd Street Station. It's the building right on the corner. We will be looking at a potential fare increase, so information will go out in legal announcements, public hearing announcements. The recommendation is to increase the fare from $1.75 to $2. We're also including that consideration of changing the fare structure for Starline Trolley. Currently, that is a fare-free service. One of the funders of that program is not going to continue funding, so we're looking at how to potentially even modify the Starline Trolley service. So at that public hearing, in addition to including the Starline Trolley in the fare discussion, we'll also have a brief survey and information for public input on revisiting the purpose of the Starline Trolley and the value of continuing that as a service. And we are also exploring ways that we might modify that route based on what current needs are and current ridership. And ridership has continued to be very consistent and high on the Starline Trolley. So that's coming up on February 8th. And I think those were the main things. Did I capture everything from
Yes, that was it.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We do have, after that public hearing, our next meeting of the GRTC board will be June 15th. We will be meeting at 1 o'clock in council conference room, and then we'll convene recess to come in here for our annual stockholders meeting at 1:30, and then we'll reconvene in the conference room after. All right. We'll move on to introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions, which is a continuation of our report from the Greater Roanoke Transit Company. It's a resolution ratifying, approving, and affirming the action taken by the GRTC Board to implement fare-free Election Day bus service for Tuesday, April 21st, which is retroactive, Tuesday, August 4th, and Tuesday, November 3rd. And I will entertain a motion and a second to adopt that resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, council members Hagan, Sanchez-Jones, and Nash. All right. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
A resolution ratifying, approving, and affirming the action taken by Greater Roanoke Transit Company doing business as Valley Metro to implement fare-free Election Day bus service for Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, and Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026, and authorizing the city manager to take any necessary action to accomplish such fare.
Thank you. Any discussion by members of council? Mr. Hagan?
Do we have the data on how any increase that we saw for the special election on that day for fare-free day? Whew.
Yes, we did see actually a fairly significant uptick. Yeah, it was
Okay.
significant. Yeah. Good question, though. All right, any other questions? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor McGuire.
Aye.
Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Hagan.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones. Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the resolution is adopted. Before we move on to our next resolution regarding the appointment of 2 trustees to the Roanoke City School Board, I'll ask Vice Mayor McGuire and Councilwoman Sanchez Jones to read statements into the record.
First, thank you, Mayor. I, Stephen Terry McGuire, state that I have a personal interest in Agenda Item 10, Number 2, relating to the appointment of 2 trustees to the Roanoke City School Board because I am an employee of Roanoke City Public Schools, and as an employee, I have a personal interest in this transaction. Therefore, in accordance with Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112, I will refrain from participation in this matter. I ask that the clerk accept this statement and ask that it be made a part of the minutes of this meeting.
I, Vivian Sanchez Jones, state that I have a personal interest in Agenda Item 10, Number 2, relating to the appointment of 2 trustees to the Roanoke City School Board. Because I am an employee of Roanoke City Public Schools, and as an employee, I have a personal interest in this transaction. Therefore, in accordance with Virginia Code Section 2.2-3112, I will refrain from participating in this matter. I ask that the clerk accept the statement and ask that it may be a part of the minutes of this meeting.
All right, we have before us a resolution appointing 2 trustees to the Roanoke City School Board for terms of office commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2029. And I'll ask for a motion and a second on the resolution.
Move the resolution. Second.
Thank you, Councilmembers Nash and Volleson. Madam Clerk, will you please read the title paragraph?
A resolution appointing Donna Littlepage and Derek Cackness as school board trustees of the Roanoke City School Board for terms commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30, 2029.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by members of council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Nash?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Powers? Mr. Hagan?
Aye.
And Mayor Cobb.
Aye, and the resolution is adopted. And I'll invite our colleagues back in.
Us too.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on since we're almost to the end of our business for this session. Are there any inquiries or comments by members of council? Announcements or anything? I will say that 2 announcements that I'd like to make coming up. On Wednesday of this week, pulling up my calendar. There are 2 events I wanted to remind the public about. Oh, that's because they're both on the same day. All right. As many of you may be aware, I've been working with public libraries this year for the Mayor's Book Club. Well, this month on Wednesday night at 5 o'clock, we're actually having a movie night at Melrose Branch Library. And citizens of all ages are invited to that. I will reveal, it's my favorite movie that night, but I'll reveal it right before we show it. And then that evening at 7 o'clock is a Ride of Silence. This is an annual ride hosted by Pedal Safe. Who else, Gary? You remember?
They're the primary.
Yeah,
support. I can't remember.
Cardinal Bike, all cyclists in general support this effort, but we'll be meeting down in the Market Square for a gathering at 6:30, then opening remarks at 6:50. Then we'll ride, it's several miles that we ride together in silence. And this is to remember people who have lost their lives in accidents while they were cycling. So it's a very solemn and somber event, but a reminder as to why what we were talking about earlier today with safety for all of our citizens, regardless of their mode of transportation, is so critically important. So I just wanted to share those 2 announcements. Mr.
Sorry, I
Hagan.
was in the restroom, or getting our colleagues. More of a PSA than a comment. I know with the temperature rising and everything, it's always good to make sure you check your back seat if you have pets or small children or anything like that. It's one of those things that, never want to see needless deaths or anything like that. So just appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, it seems a little early to be talking about cooling centers in the city, but the temperatures seem pretty
rising,
lofty right now. I know the city will be working with a number of agencies locally who will be serving as cooling centers. So we'll just be posting that information and making it available. Right, I don't believe we have any vacancies to consider at this point, so I will recess this council meeting until we reconvene this evening at 7 p.m. We'll recess into our closed meetings. Thank you all for your attendance today.